I've made a list. I've made a few notes of the things I've learned last year. Just 3 things, really. I've distilled it. So what we've got is, what I did learn is that nothing ruins that Friday feeling than the sudden realisation that it's Tuesday. I've also realised that the proper way to use a stress ball, when you get all uptight, is to actually throw it at the person that's upsetting you. And finally, after reading so many self-help books, I've realised the best way to make my fortune is to write my own self-help book. So there it is. It's on Kindle. It's in my name. Go and look it up and give me some support and read my book. But coming back to the new year, it is a time when we all take stock and we all say where are we in life, and it can be quite miserable. Some people approach the new year with such gusto and they're so happy and they've got all this and everything. But some people start the new year, especially at the moment when we're not sure where we're going to be, because business, it's a bit uncertain. We don't know whether we can even come out of our doors. We don't know when we're going to be able to go back to work properly. We don't know when society goes back to normal, and if it ever will. So it can be a scary time. Now, there are things we can do, obviously, but I think the first thing we can do, because when I get miserable, and sometimes I do get miserable, and I find that planning for the future, making plans, actually brings me out of that misery. It actually makes me feel that I'm doing something, because by making plans, what you're doing is you're taking control of your circumstances, and where this control, you can affect things and you can make things a bit better. So making plans, me saying to you, go and make some plans for the future, is all very good. Resolutions never work, but because they're too strenuous. But if you sort of set ideas in your head for what it is that you want to achieve, I'm always saying that those businesses, those people that don't have a direction or have definite plans, tend to sort of run around like a headless chicken, and now isn't the time to do that. I talk about my family a lot on these things, because they're the people that can't sue me. But my dad, he's pushing 80. He's not been very well. He really hasn't, and he's actually been in hospital. He's had a bit of an operation on his heart. Thankfully, he's okay at the moment. But you know what? He's now. I spoke to him this morning, and he's all excited because his website's up and running, and he's now pushing customers towards it, and he's realizing that the days of cash and carry are not going to be as easy in the future as they have been in the past. So now he's looking at ways of changing that and embracing the internet, and it's working for him, because he's already pulled up a few customers, and it's a lot easier because then he can start looking at his costings as well, and costings is perhaps one of the areas that we can control straight away. But I'm going to come back to that in a moment. I was going through my PR director, Ed, was looking at some news items, and he thought these might be of interest. But before we go into news items, I just want to say HMRC has put out a warning. It's not a joke, that there's a lot of scams going around. So I just want you to take heed of this. If anybody comes along pretending to be from HMRC, whether it's tax or VAT or PAYE or anything, they will not ask you for personal details, and they certainly won't ask you to transfer any money to them, because there's one going around and it's saying that you're due a refund, give us your bank details, and of course people are giving bank details. So don't, because HMRC will not do this. If you do get an email or a phone call, no matter how aggressive, no matter how polite, no matter how convincing, and you're not sure whether it's real, err on the side of prudence, because HMRC, you'll know it's them, and you can always phone up me, my team, or if we don't act for you, you can phone your existing accountants. But if you want to phone us, you can still phone us. But if you're unsure, do check. But like I say, HMRC will never ever contact you in a way to glorify that you've got refunds, and they certainly won't ask for details. They've already got your bank details if they want to pay them back. But generally, if you are due a refund, your accountant will know, and it'll probably be them or myself that will trigger that refund back to you and will tell you about it. Just if you've got a pen and paper, just write down phishing, that's PH not F, phishing at hmrc.gov.uk, or text 60599. Now, these are the helplines for with HMRC if you think you've had a scam or you're likely to get a scam. Don't forget, though, that it is the 31st of January deadline coming up. So if you've not filed your returns, you could be getting notices that you've got penalties coming up, and that's another scam. It's not necessarily a scam, of course. They're taking advantage of people who haven't filed the returns to say that they've got penalties due. The penalties won't be due until you haven't filed. We've got until the end of January. I don't know why people wait till the last minute, because you're going to get fined and you're going to get all sorts of problems. If tax returns go in late, then it increases your chances of having an investigation, a review of your figures. So it's not sensible. But if your returns haven't been filed yet and you're in a tizzy, just pick up that phone to me anytime. Send me a text, send me an email, phone, and we'll get it sorted for you. You can actually file a tax return with estimated figures, providing you've got a good enough reason. We hate people when they do that, because we've got to do all the work of filing it, and then we've got to do it again when we put the proper figures in. So just do bear that in mind. So okay. Now, something else in the news was that the FCA they warned that 4,000 financial firms are under threat of closure. 4,000 firms in one industry, that's quite a lot. I mean, do we care about finance firms? Do we care about brokers, finance brokers, mortgage brokers, that type of thing? And I think I have a view. I don't want to see anybody go out of business. Well, I don't want to see most people go out of business. And but I'm not sure what the great use is. I mean, my belief is that when it comes to saving and investments and that type of thing, I prefer to look after my own investments, because an investment of 0.5% or 2%, putting that in perspective, it's for every £1,000 you invest, you're looking at £20. So it's not it's not a great thing when if you're in business and you invest that money into your business or into your home or into buying your own properties, you'll probably get a better investment. But I took out a pension plan a while ago, well, a long time ago, and it's not worth anything like it was expected to be. So much so, I'm just thinking of cashing it in or just not bothering with it anymore. But the attitude is, with a lot of savings plans, a lot of pensions, is that if it's like putting money aside, so if you don't get a great return back, at least you get something back. Someone once told me years ago, before property was such a good investment, I don't know if it is such a good investment at the moment, but they said, it's better to buy a property and rent a property, and look at it like, even if the property loses money, it's like getting your rent back when you've sold it. And I thought, okay, all right. But I think one advantage that you guys have over most people is that you've got your own business. So I know if you've got £100, is it better to put that into an ISA, or is it better to put it into buying some stock and turning that stock over? Well, it's a calculation, isn't it? And it's a mindset. But if a lot of these firms are closing down, I'm not quite sure why they'd be closing down because of COVID, because they're mostly office based, and most of the work is done over the phone and computers. So I'm not sure if COVID's the reason why they would close down, which is often my opinion on a lot of businesses. Were they closing down before COVID, and COVID is just the excuse being used? I just don't know, but whatever you think. If you've got any comments, just let me know. Graham Booth there. Thank you, Graham. I'm glad you like the bricks. It took us ages to put them up. Look, my hands are raw with them. It's something else in the news. It was just more of an article than actually in the news. It was Elon Musk, I quite like Elon Musk. I find him highly amusing. Obviously, a very successful man, but I like it when people have been successful and they've achieved lots and lots of things. They suddenly start giving advice out, and the advice might be perfectly right. It might not be right, but because of what the media position they're in, they seem to think they can give advice. And let's look at what Elon Musk has done. Let's look at what Bill Gates has done. Let's look at what all these very, very successful, wealthy people have done, and let's take their advice. I'm not so sure of that, because I'd rather take the advice of my dad, who's been in business for many, many years and has been reasonably successful through hard work and through skill. And there's a lot of people out there that are the same. So the people that I sort of take advice from are more people that I know that have done it. I've seen them do it. I don't know what Elon Musk has ever done, because he's a public figure, so we don't know the story. We don't know really what's gone on. He's a good salesman. He's a good marketer. He's certainly very good at getting his ideas into governments, but is that something you can do? Is that I don't know. Maybe look at your own market, find people that you know who have been successful, and use them as role models. I like Elon Musk, but I don't know him, never met him, don't know anything about him. So I can't say I like Elon Musk. I can take his public profile and say I like that profile. He's funny, rude, but I find it funny. But he's got 6 secrets to success that I've written down, and it's not about the money. Well, when you're a multi-billionaire, you can say it's not about the money. And I'm not so sure whether I built an accountancy practice purely on the lines that I enjoy doing it. I think it is about the money. There's other things to serve community if it's not about the money. We've got the next one. Pursue your passions. I don't know what you think. There's an old, there's a sort of, it's like there, isn't it? Society thinks that you should do what you enjoy. You should do what your passion is, and it's a big thing that. And I've always found, do what you're good at, do what works, do what brings the money in, do what you work, and you find that if you do something, whether you like it or not, and it works, and you build a business and you increase your income, you soon get to like it. You soon get to have that passion for it. The more you know about something, the more interesting it becomes. And so I'm not sure that we should be following these people. Don't be afraid to think big. Well, I'm not afraid to think big. A lot of people can't think at all. But I'm not sure that thinking big's for everybody. Maybe you just want to earn a living. Maybe you just want to be a decent sized shop in your own area. Maybe you don't want to take over the world. What is big? I've been told many times that I'm not as big as I think, and I meant the business. Be ready to take risks. Well, you've got to look at risk, and you've got to say, okay, take calculated risks, but don't risk more than you can afford to risk. So do you really need to take risks? I mean, lots of energy, lots of hard work, but risk, I'm not sure. When does risk become gambling? When does risk harm other people? A risk, calculated. Be aware of how far you can fall. Be aware of the people you affect if that risk goes wrong. It's great when you've got other people's money, billions of pounds worth of other people's money. You're taking a risk with theirs. If it all goes kaput, well, you're not going to be out of pocket. So sorry, Elon, I don't agree with you there. Ignore the critics. Well, you can do that just by not getting married, can't you, really? But ignoring the critics, well, people do pull you down, but sometimes there's a reason for that as well. Sometimes sometimes you should listen to people. Sometimes if something's inherently wrong, you've just got to do everything with balance and enjoy yourself. Well, yeah, I mean, you can enjoy yourself no matter what you do. I mean, the stress ball, throw it at people. What do you enjoy yourself? You should enjoy yourself in life as well, but life isn't just about enjoying yourself. You've got responsibilities. So I thought I'd just bring that up about the role model, and about even someone who's way more successful than I'll ever be. So who am I to contradict someone like this? But I just don't see that these areas are applicable to small businesses and everyday people. I don't think we should model ourselves on all these big people. I just don't. So just a quick reminder about something before I forget. I want to extend this show, and I've had some people saying, why don't we do a discussion? And it's really about the equipment. It's not that easy to bring people onto chat. But I thought, let's have a part of the show as a discussion. So I can bring 3, 4, 5 people in. We can get you metaphorically in the studio. We can do it all online. But what we can do is, I was thinking, let's have a great conversation. Let's kick off with something like how we use colourful language in business. So have a chat group. So if you want to be on the chat, if you want to give your opinions, I don't mean written, I mean actually appear and chat with us, then email me in. We're going to be promoting this a little bit along with our what's it called, Dragon's Den version, to help people promote their businesses and get finance. So now I'm coming back to something else. I mentioned before about things you can control, and expenses is something that really needs to be controlled in businesses. But it's very difficult to sort of find how we control expenses, because it's a balance. On the one hand, we've got expenses that they're there for a reason, and if we cut them down, then things are going to go bad. Now, at the moment, I'm increasing my overheads by bringing in some more client sort of facing managers, so people. So we've got more people in the background dealing with clients' needs and also helping develop the business that way. Now's not the right time, but I feel that if we get everyone in, get them trained and get them moving forward, and then in the long run, in the medium run, because I think we'll have a dip, I think by May, June, July, we'll start recovering and we'll get back to the hedonism of the 1920s, and we'll really, society will really boom. But for now, we need to set up infrastructure. So cutting down on wages, cutting down on premises, cutting down on everything else is something we should consider, but only if that's absolutely needed. I mean, a lot of companies, like I was talking to my dad, there's every chance he could reduce some of the size of his warehousing, because if he's moving more to online supplies, he won't need the showrooms, he won't need that type of thing. So have a look at what your expenses are. Always keep an eye on the pennies, but keep an eye on them. Don't get obsessed with them, because the bigger thing is getting out there, mixing with people, and making sure you're building up those relationships that bring business in and bring referrals and the just some things with I was talking before about keeping your eye on the pennies, and a few years ago I was quite annoyed because I got a bill from Viking, and it was about £250 for some bits and bobs, and I looked at some of the stationery we'd ordered, and some of them were heart-shaped pink stick-on notes, and I thought, why on earth have you paid £1.80 for them when they're about 20 pence a pack? And it's, oh, they're pretty. And it's like, oh, for God's sake. And it's even down to they'd bought some lever arch files, and I think at the time they were about £1.80, £2. I think they can go up to £4 now. But I went to an auction a week later, and I bought something like 2,500 of them for like £50. They were not in the best condition, but it didn't matter. It was only told paper, and so you don't need to get obsessed with these things. But I do think that we need to keep these in mind. I mean, even had a guy I used to work with years ago, he was a lovely fella, but he used to, in those days we used to get loads of letters and loads of packets of paper in the post. Now we get PDFs, and he used to take the paper clips off them and put them in a bag, put them in a box on his desk. And I said, well, you're not really saving much money there. He goes, yeah, but you know what? I probably spend about £5 in a year on paper clips, so it's £5 less I have to find. Now, it might sound petty, but he wasn't going out of his way to be a skinflint. He was just, eyes on the pennies. The other thing to be wary of is I'm not a big fan of big firms. I'm not a big fan because that face-to-face, that caring about you as a person, caring, having any real repercussions except for law or a bad name, and which they don't care as much as you think about. I bought a chair, one of these swivel chairs, off one of these high street suppliers of office stationery and office everything. I'll tell you what, it was so uncomfortable and it was so flimsy, I ended up throwing it away. And then I found online that there was a second-hand office chair that was leather and everything, and it was 20 quid and 20 quid delivery. I thought, at least consider alternatives. Do you actually need to be spending on this type of stuff? So it's not a case of not spend, it's a case of spend correctly. So maybe spend more on that than spend on that. Anyway, that's pretty much what I've got to say. Oh, just while I remember, VAT postponement. If you're an importer, don't forget that instead of paying the shipping companies 3% of the VAT amount and then have to pay them up front anyway, the VAT are allowing you to postpone that payment until your normal return. So just sort of declare to customers when the stock's coming in, or to your shippers, that you're going to declare the VAT on your VAT return as normal. Then you won't have to pay it up front. So just for all those importers out there. So I just thought I'd mention that. Now we're coming to the end of our first show, and but I do have some questions. So I love these questions. We've got a Jenny from Sheffield. I used to love coming to work, but now I hate the job and I'm scared I'm going to get furloughed permanently. What should I do? Is starting a business the right option? Well, you're asking me. I mean, I've been sacked from every job I ever have, and I'm basically unemployable. So I'd sort of say, yeah, of course, start your own business. I mean, business isn't easy. No one's saying it is, but there's lots and lots of ideas out there. I mean, for instance, just everyone's looking at what a terrible year it was last year, but can I tell you that there was 170,000 new limited companies formed last year, which is around 80,000 more than in 2019. So definitely more people are setting up business. The thing is, though, you've got to be a bit more innovative. You can't just open up something that everybody else is selling. And I think a lot of people in business at the moment, and this is a continued lesson for everybody, we've got to do something a little bit different. I was reading about a guy now selling candied smoked salmon. So it's smoked salmon with a taste of candy. I'm not sure if I'd like that, but it might be something. And there was a guy, he's doing flat pack bottles of wine. Seriously, the wine, the bottles have been made flat so they can go through your post box, and obviously the cushions before they fall. But if you've got an idea, do go for it. But do test your idea. Don't just jump in with thousands of pounds. Don't just leave your job. Do test, because some of these things you can start off part time. You can start off in the evening. You can start off in the weekends. And see how it builds up. I mean, a lot of more businesses fail, but it's all a learning curve. I mean, years ago I tried to start a hot balloon company, but it never took off. Anyway, we have a John Dulwich from Royton. Business isn't going great. Should I look at developing other income streams? You know what? I think I've spoken about this a few times. Business is always looking for new innovation. So definitely you should be looking at all different income streams. Don't spread yourself too thin. So try and have things that relate to your core skills and core delivery ability. So if just to get that message across, if you've got a fishmonger's, then maybe it's not the best place to start selling computers. So introduce maybe information about fish, maybe introduce seasoning, maybe introduce a delivery service, maybe introduce more exotic stuff. I don't know, but it's called clustering. So use the expensive facilities you've got and apply them in different ways, and then try it. Try a rollout, say a sample test of customers. So yeah, I think it's always good to be innovative, and it's always good to get out there. And I think the end of this podcast is just to say everybody to keep their chins up. We've got the vaccine out there now. It's only going to get better. Do listen to what the government are saying, whether you agree with them or not. Don't if you don't believe that you should have the vaccine, then that's up to you. But don't start spreading that around to everybody else and putting doubt in the head. As my daughter says, she's going to have the vaccine even if it turns her into a potato. But we need to get vaccinated. We need to get businesses back to normal. And even when things go back to normal, we need you to learn the lessons of the past year in order to go forward stronger for this year and next year. And my phone lines are open and my emails are open, and I'm here. Now, don't forget, go to my YouTube, please, begging you. No, go to my YouTube, ring the bell, subscribe, and we'll alert you to all our future programs. And if you do want to join any of our programs, or you do want a quote for your accountancy services, just let me know. I'm here. And thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next week at 7 o'clock. Night, night.